up, and I think this will be Tara.
All right, how you doing? I'm PJ Smith. I'm a staff member here at the Regional Planning Council. And what I'm going to be talking about today really strikes to the core of what our mission is at the Planning Council. So a couple of years ago, we did a project called How Shall We Grow? And it basically looked at how Orlando as our region was going to grow into the future. This was in 2007. And what we've done is we actually looked back at our goals from that point, and we created a report to see from 2008 to 2017, how did our region actually grow? So as part of this report, we'll go basically very quickly over how shall we grow, go over the how did we grow analysis and some of the metrics that we came up with. And then Tara's going to talk about the survey that we've developed, and then we're going to kind of open it up for discussion. So the history of How Shall We Grow, beginning in 2006, it was really a significant project. There were a lot of commissioners involved, a lot of city staff involved. I wasn't here at the time, I'm acting like I was, but it was really a great collaboration of our region in terms of how are we going to grow into the future, what type of development, what types of density nodes, where are our critical corridors, how can we connect those corridors. These were all kind of part of the theme of this report that was developed. So basically 20,000 residents were involved in this, and it really emphasized urban infill and redevelopment rather than the sprawl type of development that we're so used to seeing here, primarily in the Sun Belt, but also in Central Florida. And 4 themes were developed as part of this: conservation, centers, countryside, and corridors. So you can see that the conservation and the countryside, those kind of align together. And then it's also about connecting your major centers with corridors, but not just roadway corridors, rail corridors, biking corridors, walking corridors, things like that. So now we're going to get into what we did as part of this. And this, the How Did We Grow analysis started, I believe, in October last year, the real dirty work, or probably October of last year, the real dirty work of how are we going to analyze this, where are we going to get our data, things like that. So basically we looked from 2007 to 2017, and we tried to look at it from the perspective of water usage, conservation, what were our goals, and then where are we now. So as I'm going through this, you'll actually be able to, you have a package, you'll be able to flip through the package, and this presentation really goes in the order of that package. This is very important. So what you have on the left side here, from 1900 to 2017, this is how our region has grown, okay? So every time a parcel is built, it lights up in yellow. So you can obviously see what's happening. We're growing outward and outward and outward. Now imagine if you froze this graphic where it is today, okay? And you were looking into the future, and let's say you started to darken the colors a little bit. Where are we gonna grow? Are we gonna keep going outward, or are we gonna start to do infill? As part of the next council meeting, we're going to be talking about the Lotus database that we've developed, but very quickly, what we've developed actually is part of the Lotus database, and actually be streamlined in with what we've identified as part of this analysis. In the 3-county area, we've identified these nodes. You can see downtown Sanford, downtown Orlando, downtown Northern Ocoee. These are the areas that are really the most critical in terms of potential opportunity for infill, because these areas already have all the critical services necessary. They have parks and recreation. They typically have transit, they typically have food and retail. So these are the areas that if we're going to be redeveloping, why not do it where we already have all those services in place? Now I'm going to start flipping through pretty quickly here. You can see on this map on the right, this is all the parcels that have been developed in the region from 2008 to 2017, and they're kind of in an aqua color. You can see, and I don't want to press the wrong button here, you can see, I believe that's the villages. Then we have Southwest Orlando, the Summerport, Horizon West area, so you can see all in that report, and by county where the development has occurred. By the way, there's a pretty cool statistic. If our regional planning council was actually a state, we would be the 28th most populous state in the United States, which is actually pretty cool. More people than Oklahoma, more people than Kansas, a couple more surprising states on there. But we looked at actually by county what the population growth was in terms of projected population and actual population. Orange County is very close to the projection, and another outlier is Sumter County, which grew, I believe, at 71% as opposed to the projected 35 or 36%. So just a ton of growth in Sumter County. We also have regional demographics. I'm not going to go into all the numbers. This is just the idea of what's in the report, right? So we looked at regional demographics in terms of median income, the population increase, the number of jobs created. We also looked at conservation land change. So by county, how much has there been an expansion or reduction of conservation land? We looked at water consumption by county, so we know how many gallons per day per person it's going up or it's going down. And not only that, comparing it to what our projections were in the original How Shall We Grow report. We looked at countryside. So this is basically the net change in the value of agricultural products over the 10-year period from each county. We also looked at the development profile. Very quickly, if you look at these graphs, you can see this is the economic downturn right here, right? This graph is the number of single-family units and multifamily units that were built over each of the years. So you can see that we've really started to rebound. However, as part of this analysis, we'd really like to see more of this, you see this yellowish orange, we'd like to see that multifamily development start to go up a little bit, because that means that we're consuming less land. And if you think about it from the perspective of, for our marginal population increase, we want to have as many of our new residents as possible within existing urban areas that we can start to infill and create good places. We also looked at transportation and the average commute times. And then now we're going to get into just actually, if you look at the second half of your report, probably zoom into your county, because we did growth profiles for each county. So as just like the map at the beginning, you can see where all the new development has occurred. Colors aren't too great on the screen, but the dark purple areas are basically the new development, and you get the point. So we also have population growth, the actual population growth as compared to the trend population growth. You can see here with Florida County predicted 17%, actual 10%. And things like that. We also have development profiles and transportation profiles, and this is true for every county. So I'm going to quickly flip through here. You can see Lake County here, really actually pretty scattered development, but there are some critical nodes. Wildwood, that was just talked about, definitely some critical nodes being developed there. Development overview. Marion County, same kind of type of story. A little bit of, looks like agricultural development on the outskirts of the county. Orange County, again, southwest Orange County, pretty big boom in the pocket area up near Zellwood. Tangerine, I believe, the town's name up there, pretty big development. And also in south central Orange County, there's big development. Osceola County, actually with Sunrail in Orange, Seminole, and Osceola County, there has been a good amount of transitory development, overlay districts, the type of policy decisions that we need. So from a policy perspective, we've done a really good job in terms of let's denote this area as where we're going to have density. So now it's all about the market, the private sector coming through and filling those gaps and creating the infill that's critical. You can see Seminole County here, development overview, transportation overview. Sumter County, I believe that is the villages up there, so that's pretty intense development. Development overview. Volusia County as well, so really repetitive, but we wanted to provide you analytics for each county, kind of apples to apples. And we can expand on this analysis in the future, given your needs. If you have any needs, commissioners from cities or counties, just please let us know. Development overview. And now I'm going to hand it over to Tara to talk about the survey.
Okay, so as part of this, we wanted to reach out to our communities, our stakeholders across the region, to see how they felt the region was growing. If we were on track in their perspective to fulfill the regional vision, both as a region as well as locally. So back then we didn't have these great survey mechanisms, and so we decided to get the biggest bang for our buck and create a survey using MetroQuest, which is an online survey platform, which is pretty interactive. We've used it a lot lately. So this is the front page of the survey. On the bottom you have just so when people ask you guys, you can guide them through the survey itself. On the bottom there's a lot of information about why we're doing this, about the history of how shall we grow. There is also a link to the report, so people will have access to that information so they can make some informed, give us informed information. We also have a Spanish version, so when they click on the link, they can click on the Spanish version, and then that version will come. So as you go through the survey, what we wanted to do is mimic some of it after the My Region Value Survey that was done prior to the How Shall We Grow process. So a lot of these this information from that survey asked what people's priorities were, me as an individual. So we utilized a lot of that wording and focused on recreation, housing, schools, access to arts and culture, transportation, healthcare, quality jobs, and safe communities. So what we're doing is asking people to rank the priorities for themselves through this process. They are also able to suggest another priority in case there's something that's really important to them that we missed, and provide comments for each of their sections that they pick. On the third screen, similar mechanism, but here we wanted to ask them what are priorities for the region. So we previously heard 10 years ago, 12 years ago now, what priorities were back then. Are they still the same, or are they changing? So again, here we talk about managing growth, protecting the environment, providing efficient transportation, providing housing for all types of incomes, talking about climate change and homelessness, which was not discussed previously in the How Shall We Grow process, higher paying jobs, and education. Finally, this last slide, this is all taken from the actual How Shall We Grow document. The wording, the comments that are all included in here are based upon the direction that the How Shall We Grow process and vision we're trying to implement. So everybody will be able to go through each of these tabs and then rate how much they agree with the statement. So the first tab is really asking people about their community, where they live, not as the region as a whole. So asking, does my community manage growth? Does my community include opportunities for healthcare, education, and cultural amenities? Does my community have a variety of different housing for different incomes? Is my community safe and attractive? And then is my community moving in the right direction? Then we wanted to look at regional prosperity, and some of this was taken again from the My Region survey. Where is the region in its economy? Are we in a better place than we were 10 years ago? Are we providing a lot of job diversity? And are we setting ourselves up for being a competitive economy in the region? The next one was centers. So these focus on those 4 core themes from the How Shall We Grow centers, and then conservation in countries, since we put those together in this countryside, and then corridors. So when it comes to centers, we wanted to find out from people if they really thought that our centers were being developed with a mix of uses, from housing to retail to restaurants and others, whether or not our centers were being designed for everyone to be all inclusive. Are we really putting them in the right spots? Okay, are we really having an urban focus? And are these centers also considered economic hubs? Can people live, work, and play in these centers? And finally, are they creative? Do they provide opportunities for the creative mix? Obviously, then the next one is really going to look at people's perception on how the region is preserving both ag and natural landscapes. If our water if they feel that we are on the way to a sustainable water supply, and when we develop, are we really being sensitive to the natural environment around us? And then finally, corridors, whether or not we are, as a region, providing efficient and accessible transportation choices. Are these choices really setting up and linking regional economic assets? So are they in the right locations? The idea of the high-tech corridor, are investments being made here? And then is the region prioritizing transit over roadway expansion as well as bike tech? So those are the kind of questions those are the questions we'll be asking. And then of course, the wrap-up slide, we want to know who's taking the survey and who's answering it. So that's just the other information. So as we move forward, because the How Shall We Grow program was really a part of the Regional Planning Council and our partnership with other entities like MetroPlan and My Region, we really want to make sure that our board is fully engaged in the rollout, as well as helping us market and get information back. So with that, I'd like to open it up for discussion on how you as a board can help us, and then how we want to move this forward, as well as how the information we receive, both from the report that PJ did as well as the survey, what is that going to be used for? Okay, because we get that, and I'm sure you all as people say, oh, you sit on the Regional Planning Council board, So what is this information gonna be used for? So what are the next steps after that? How can we